they invent every excuse in the book not to want to come because they are coming to their parents' church and not theirs. I think that dynamic has to change, where they won't see it as their parents' church, but they will see it as their calling. Because we emphasize that theology about the calling, that God is calling. And they're fortunate that they grew up in an environment where there is a God. There are many children who just grew up like wild animals. They don't know anything about God. And you ask them, what is this? They will ask you, what is this God? Because they just, the environment in which they grew up, whether it's political or it's geographical or it's cultural or religious, whatever the religion is, they don't have that semblance or that understanding that there's a divine. So they are privileged. Those who grew up with us and those who came to church with you, they are privileged that they grew up in an environment where either one or two parents live a godly life. But time is something that we cannot stop. Cannot stop. A philosopher made this comment one time. He said, sometimes life can seem like a soap opera, full of drama, like The Young and the Restless. Throughout our lives, we will encounter times of satisfaction and times of dissatisfaction. Remember in the past, we've heard suggestions in some forum that we had with some of our young people on what should change to keep them in the church. And I've heard suggestions like, oh, the hymns are too boring. We need to have more contemporary music and so on. But I tell you this, brethren, even if we change those hymns, it's still not going to stop them from leaving. I've seen the trend, I've seen studies with the same thing. Pastors saying the same thing. Oh, we did this for them, we did this. Where are they? They're gone. So nothing will stop them because there is that process I've always referred to known as socialization, where if you invest too much in the world, you'll look like the world. It rubs off on you. And especially when you're young and impressionable, you can be lured into things without even conscious of what you're doing. Show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are. Show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are. Young people, I see some of you here, I hope you're listening. Take that to the grave, because I tell you it's important, especially when you're adolescents going towards 18 or 21, whatever, because they're the ones who will help shape your opinions and your outlook on life. It's not so much your parents again, because you don't need your parents. They're old timers. They're old school. They live in a different era, a different age. Not even 90s, 80s, and well, maybe like the 19th century. But, just recently we had some children over our home, and they kept saying, I'm bored. Take them to the park, you give them things to do, and they run around, and they say they're bored. So much energy. And most young people, I will tell you this, they find church boring. Don't it, young people? I see some disagreeing with me. I hope you're right. And some adults find church boring too. You can't deny that. Some people find church boring. If you have a boring speaker like me, you'll find it boring. But sometimes you have to put the boredom aside and realize why you're here. The first time I checked into a church in April 1985, at least CGI. Hear the story already, I'm not getting dementia, but I'm just repeating it. There were 12 people in the room, and the sermon was delivered on audio tape. Audio tape. And I sat there for 5 years, well, about 3, 4, 5 years, between 3 and 5 years, every Saturday. 12 people. Came to Canada in 1990. It's a repeat. I came here again, and there were 12 people in that room, but this time they were watching TV for the sermon. But I knew why I was coming to church. Because God's call is something serious. So talk about boring. I remember evenings, afternoons after service, I came out of church with my back water. It's like I just took a shower. The way it was hot. And a little wire fan just going like this in the ceiling, and it gives more heat than more air. I remember those days. And I withstood it. Not me. My wife was with I too. And Shay was with us too in some of those. And poor Shay, he went to church. There were a few little young people there, yes. But not a lot. And he would cry when we didn't, one Saturday when we moved out of town. That's another disaster. Well, I shouldn't say disaster, but we moved out of 60 miles we had to travel to church every week over that period. For 5 years, we did that. But I knew what the mission was, the calling was. I recognized it. And took 3 minibus. We were packed like sardines. Sometimes I find my head in places that I shouldn't because the box is so packed. I can't tell you. You would think I'm a pervert or something. But those were the days. I'm getting real. And you come off the bus sometimes and you smell yourself. You say, oh, wait, I didn't put on any cologne. And you know you did. There were lessons out of that. I remember one Saturday I went to church and they picked my pocket. Didn't have any money to go home. I had to borrow. The only time I ever borrowed in my life was they picked my pocket, and I had to, God rest his soul, Ian Boyne. I said, Ian, lend me $5 to go home. Those were the days. But I knew what the mission was. I recognized the calling. So those are realities. I don't know if people today go through those. My first fasting on the Day of Atonement, I had diarrhea for 2 days. And the 3rd day was the Day of Atonement. So I was weak, and I still traveled 60 miles to church. 60 miles. So, you know, I'm just giving these testimonies. Don't see them as I'm bragging or anything. I'm just giving you for your own. All those pipe organ. I wonder what I was doing in this church. You know, I like hear the pipe organs when you hear them sound the place, and I said, but this. Because let me tell you, the first day I walk into church, recording.